bin immer vorsichtig, wenn mich jemand fragt, how are you? If you say, oh, I am feeling amazing, but everyone else, so many people are suffering right now, it's a little bit strange, isn't it? If you're like, oh, I'm so amazing. So, because ein bisschen Englisch ist okay, oder? A little bit you feel the suffering of others, no? You don't feel it at all? A little bit, yeah? What you do to disconnect with it? What you do not to feel it? You feel it, Tobias?
Right now? Or
no, like generally in your life. You feel?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? How do you feel
sometimes you can see it in the face of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking like, I don't know.
Absent.
Yeah.
You wanted to say, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's for a lot of people in Berlin that they are looking like this.
Yeah, it's a normal thing in Berlin. So this is the thing, if you practice meditation, you like this inward meditation, like in Zazen, because there are all kind of different styles of meditation. You can meditate, for example, with a mantra of love. Like you can say love, 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 and until you feel love and blessing and bliss. And then you feel high of love or feel high of bliss. And in this case, not necessarily you become aware of the suffering around you. You kind of even, it is possible that you even separate yourself completely and you just feel so blissful. You go out and you're full of bliss and everyone else is not maybe so blissful. Which is totally fine. It's a good state from time to time. Yeah. But if you are constantly like that, you kind of separate yourself from everybody else. Yeah. So if you sit in meditation in Zazen, you become more aware of everything. You become more aware of the pain of others, of the suffering of others. The question is not if you are feeling the suffering. The question is, how do you deal with it? So many people say, oh, but I feel the suffering and I don't like it. But why you don't like that suffering of other people? What is that? If you feel other people are in pain or in suffering, why don't you like it? Is it because of the suffering of other people?
Empathy and protection of self.
Protection of self. A bit louder.
So feeling into your own, if you're not aware of it, it can happen that it's a great influence, and so people tend to avoid those feelings or because of they're having internal empathy and they're not aware maybe of the difference between the feelings of the other people and your own feelings and how they influence your own feelings, and to be aware of that.
Yeah, I call that difference in two words. There's two words which describe this, and this one is compassion and the other is pity. In German, Mitgefühl oder Mitleid. So this is a very different thing. If you are not aware of your own reactions towards that, what you feel in others, it becomes pity. Because what is pity? Pity is if you have your own pain and you feel the pain of the other and it triggers your pain. And then you have more pain. And this is what then pity is. It's a little bit more than that, but to keep it simple for now. So you have it triggers your own pain, your resistance to pain. Okay? So what if you don't have that resistance? If you can allow the pain of the other to pass through you, what happens then?
It's not affecting you, or
Is it your experience, or you just guess?
yes.
It's not a guesswork. You have to talk from experience. So, I already said compassion. So, if you can allow that feelings of others, whatever it is, pain, to pass through you, it opens more your heart. Did you ever connect it to someone through fear? Do you know what I mean? Because either you understand or not. I cannot really explain it to you. But did you ever had someone being afraid with you, of you, and you were afraid too, and then you met? You were also afraid, and you allowed yourself to be afraid together. Did you ever had that? It usually happens with couples, or romances, but it can happen also if you're meditative. It can happen to anyone, even a stranger. Or what do you do if you're afraid? Usually.
Research.
Hmm?
Researching.
Research.
Yeah.
You research
Yes.
on Google. All right.
Not on Google. No,
Okay.
Understand.
All right, but
Exactly why the feelings appears and what the background.
interesting. So what you do is basically you try to understand. Understanding is a mental process or an emotional process?
Somehow both.
That's true. But first, in the beginning, is it more emotional, or I mean, okay. So for you, understanding means that you not only think about it, you also feel it, right?
Yeah. So,
Then it is both.
yes, I think the first reaction is always emotional,
Mhm.
and after the emotional process, mental thinking comes in and trying to resolve and understand. It's like the normal process.
All right. Well, I would suggest it's more on the mental side still. Though you can do it in a way that it is actually both. But I think for most people, what you would call understanding is still on a rational side.
Yeah.
But of course, words can mean anything different to you or to me. So I try to generalize it now. It could mean for many people. Understanding, it's true. Actually, in a real sense, understanding is a deep process. It has actually the word understanding has actually in it. You can check it. You can Google the word understanding. It has actually in it a description that it means it's a process. It needs time to digest and so on. But for many nowadays, understanding means to think, to think about it. So my point is that when we are afraid, the emotional response, the real emotional response, without any filters, if you wouldn't be so mental, would be to just connect on an emotional level immediately. So I am afraid, you're afraid, let's just share that experience. Why do I need to immediately understand why you are afraid? Why can I not just be afraid with you in that moment, for a moment? Why do I need to understand immediately why you are afraid? Because I don't want to experience the fear with you, within myself, isn't it? There is a resistance. Understanding can be good, but if it is hindering us to connect, then it is not good in a way that it hinders us to connect, right? So I asked you, did you ever connected with someone on the fear level? Did you ever connected with someone with your fear? Like you're afraid and the other person is afraid. I can see that you did. I can feel that, right? You did that. And how was it? Tell me. Was it a bad experience or was it an opening? Exactly. That's what I'm talking. It's one of the deepest ways to connect to someone is not through saying I love you, but to connect, to show you yourself vulnerable, to show yourself even through your fear. That's a paradox, because why should be fear leading to love? It doesn't make rationally sense. But if you experience it, it makes a lot of sense. So this is something many people will not understand. But we have to learn that. We have to allow ourselves to be afraid with each other, to allow ourselves to be afraid. Zen is not the way away from fear. True meditation will not lead you away from fear. It will lead you towards the fear and show you that fear is not the problem. It's how you deal with it, how you resist it. And if we want to create reality, if you want to be more real in this life, we have to get out of this fakeness. We have to get out of this political correctness and trying to be always nice and trying to be always happy with each other, but being more authentic. And how? By being authentic more with yourself, with your own fear. Can you feel your own fear and allow yourself to be afraid? What do you do if you talk in front of other people and you're afraid? Or if you sing, or if you have to do, according to statistics, the greatest fear of many people is to talk in front of other people, greater than fear of death. For me, that was reality. I was more afraid of talking to people than dying. How many of you were ever afraid to talk in front of others? You know that? You don't? A little? But you talked in front of others?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, then you're natural. There are some people who are not, but I find if you ever look at this talks on YouTube, TED, it's called? TED Talks? TED. TED. Thank you. Now I learned something. I always called it TED. If you look, for me at least, I don't know if it's for you like that, the most interesting talks where you could feel that the person who is there in front of the audience is vulnerable, is a little bit afraid. And not only afraid, but showing it openly, because they're all afraid. Some are putting an aura of complete authority, like they know exactly what I'm talking, and others are resisting it somehow. You can feel they are like fighting it somehow. And some others, especially women, because women are emotionally often more intelligent. They have a often higher EQ, I think. They are much more able to, like when they do storytelling, and they are talking from fear, like they're afraid, and they even often say, I'm a bit afraid, or anxious, or nervous. So I know it's a very high step, because it's so much against the mainstream, which many times I think teaches us not to be afraid, or why should you be afraid, or trying to understand your fear and then not to be afraid anymore. Things like that you hear often, right? At least on my news channel. I try to study it from time to time to see what is the popular belief. So for those who didn't had that experience yet, I would like to invite you to meet with someone who you know or who you don't know. Go, especially now Corona times, it's a bit difficult to meet new people, but try it out. Meet people and try to show your fear, because there is always fear when two people meet. Always. Two new people especially. There is always a little bit of fear, and try to share that. Try it out. What happens if you share your fear? It's kind of a challenge. You can try it out. So I can tell you how I do it. as I already shared with you, my greatest fear, like, you know this kind of talking? Who talks like this? I cannot do it. Trump. He's always doing his hands. My greatest fear is talking in front of people. It was always the greatest fear I had. Performing in front of people, and you know that I sing also in front of people. So this was such a fear for me. I even danced in front of people, you know. Yeah. So am I now away from it? I don't have the fear anymore? I have the fear, but it becomes completely different quality. I am aware of it, and by being aware of it and allowing it to be, it actually opens me. It gets me out of myself, my small self, my small protectiveness. Like, I need to protect myself, this ego self, and it just expands you. And at some point, like now, it's automatic. You don't need to think about it. It just happens. In the moment I talk, I just forget myself. It becomes automatic, but in a good way. But it's a process. So the first steps are you face your fear and you're afraid. And you feel it and you become vulnerable and you become sensitive. But then you say, okay, then I am afraid, and I'm allowing myself to show that I am afraid. And that connects people together. It connects on a deeper level. So when there is no fear at all and you talk to people or you perform or you do anything in front and you have no fear at all, you're usually either asleep somehow, or you're resisting it. You know, because it's your potential. The fear actually gives you a lot of power. Or you are in a psychological disease, like narcissism or something, where you think you're the best, you're the greatest, I am the best, I am the greatest. Then, okay, if you're a narcissist, you will probably not be aware of that. Same like psychopaths. Psychopaths don't have fear. Why? Did you ever met a psychopath? You ever had a nice time? You actually, every one of us did. So beside that, we all have inside us as an archetype a psychopath. You never felt like you want to kill that person or something or destroy something? You never had that in your life? Really not? All right, then you are an angel. You should never throw the stone. But those who are free from sin throw the first stone. So we all have it inside. If you go deep, deep inside, and I have so many people who say, I have no fear, or I never had this, but during the therapy work with me, they discover a lot of the darkness. We call it shadow work in Jung's psychology.
I'm an angel, like.
What? You're an angel?
I can't be angry on other people.
Yeah, but we talked about it already, that it is something you have to develop, you have to get into.
I have to be angry.
Exactly, that's why you come so rarely. I think you come more often now.
I try to be more angry now.
That's good. But shadow work, when you do the shadow work, you will realize that there is a lot of things subconsciously that you're not aware of it. I had psychotherapists coming to me, doing supervision with me, saying, I'm not afraid. And then when they did the work, the shadow work, and realizing that emotions are not just here, they're just all over the body. And then they realize they are very much afraid. So psychopaths have no fear because they are fear. They are fear. They are the manifestation of fear. And when you are fear, you're not afraid. They are in a state of constant fear. And you can feel it. If you are sensitive to energy, you can sense it. It makes you often like, the feeling is kind of like, it makes you very small, like someone, as if someone tries to make you very small and trying to oppress you immediately. So how to deal with a psychopath is to just be an empty mirror. And the moment you can be an empty mirror, just completely, just empty, opened, empty, the psychopath will be, wow, what's going on? Because he starts to see himself. That's the only thing that they are afraid of, to see themselves. It's like the story in the Medusa. Nothing can kill the Medusa. She is basically invincible. And if you look at her, you become stone. So when you look at a psychopath, it makes you like feeling like a stone. But if you're sensitive to that energy, but the only way is to show the mirror to it. You know the story of Medusa, or is it too old? So if you show her the mirror, she looks at herself, and she becomes stone. So that's why I like this story, Medusa.
Now you spoiled it.
Try it out. So last thing I talked about narcissism. How to recognize a narcissist. You ever had a meeting with a narcissist? There are all kind of different narcissist personalities. I just made a post last time about the victimized narcissist, which is very hard to spot. It's the one who always says, this happened because of this, and this happened because of this. There's always a reason why he or she did what she did. It's never never responsibility. Doesn't want to take, that person doesn't want to take responsibility for its actions. Never. It's always someone else or something else.
I think it's always a good first step to understand the true motivation.
You have to talk louder. I don't hear.
It's always a good first step to understand the true motivation of people.
Mhm.
And if you understand what's true motivation, then you know why he or she has the energy to do something in order to achieve it for herself, or maybe in a way to be altruistic. And I think altruistic is the best way to show true motivation, to make it blanket and translate.
Well, that's what you're talking about is plain philosophy.
What is it?
It's philosophy. It's philosophical. It's ethical.
Yeah.
So ethical and philosophical is one stepping stone, but in Zen you have to leave that too. Once, if you are not someone who wants to hurt others, or a psychopath or a narcissist, if you are already above that, like I think we all are, it is time to leave that and to trust into your beingness, into that wisdom inside your awareness, inside your consciousness. And for that you need to leave philosophy, you need to leave a little bit ethics, and then you start to feel things, and you go by feeling, by your guts. You don't need to understand that person in order to know if it is good for you or not. That takes practice, of course. So what I wanted to say about narcissist is, if you want to recognize a narcissist, work on your own narcissist. Find your own inner narcissist. You know your narcissist? Your inner narcissist? Did you ever met him or her? Would you ever admit that you have one inside you? Tobias?
No.
So, who, raise your hand if you would say, honestly, if you would say you don't have a narcissist inside you. Just raise your hand. Just be honest with yourself. The camera is on me, so nobody sees you. So you don't raise your hand. Nobody raise your hand. Okay, so who has it? All right. Well, are you honest or are you just doing what I do? All right. It's so hard, but it's a little bit hard to say I have it, right? Is it for you?
Probably not.
For you, not. Okay, for you? Not.
Like, I've done a lot of work to recommend, so I'm pretty sure.
Excellent. Okay, and you? A little bit. And you?
A little bit.
A little bit.
It's uncomfortable, but it's...
Okay. So if it is for you uncomfortable, it's a clear sign that there is a negative narcissist in you. There is a positive narcissist which says, hey, I'm cool, I like myself, I'm so great. A positive narcissist. And then there is the negative one which says, oh, I don't like myself, I am not good, I'm not the best, I'm not important, well, I'm not worth this or that. And I'm not even worth to be heard, I'm not worth to be seen, I'm not so important person. I'm altruistic. Sounds good in a way, especially in the way our society works. Many people would agree. They say, hey, you're a good person. But it is a negative narcissist. So you see, a negative narcissist say, I'm not such a worthy person. I prefer to help other people. So I help other people, but don't you expect when you help other people that they say you're a good person? Don't you expect them to say, oh, thank you so much? And then you shine in that light of them? So instead of shining in your light, you're just shining in their light. It's the same thing. It's the same narcissism. That is important to see. If you have resistance to your positive narcissist, it's probably because you are in your negative one. That's all the resistance shows. And what is the solution out of it? Make love to your narcissist. Love your narcissist. You see, the narcissist doesn't love him or herself. The narcissist actually hates him or herself. What is self-hate? It's a very complex, self-hatery is a very complex topic. It's all written in my book later, when it's ready, a couple years. And so the self-hatery, one of things about self-hatery is if you don't allow love coming to yourself, and if you cannot just love yourself as you are, if you cannot allow yourself to love yourself as you are, with all your darkness included. Children, I love you, my son, because you did this. Oh, here you have a gummy bear, because you did that, very good. But how many times children hear, I love you, because, for what, mama? Just because you are. I just love you because you are you. Can you love yourself just because you are like you are? No matter how dark times, good times, when you were angry at someone, can you just accept that and love yourself? Or are you then angry at yourself? Oh, I'm such a bad person. Blaming yourself, feeling ashamed, whatever. We all went through that school of feeling shame and feeling guilty, feeling not good enough about who we are, how we are. Are we all free of addictions? Are we all free of negative behavior, of anger, of hate, racism? Are we all free of that? Never. As long as we are humans, we share it. But how we deal with it and how honest we are with it, that's what can make a change. So we have to allow it and love it. And so the narcissist, as you know the story, narcissist loves his mirror picture. He doesn't love himself. He loves the mirror of himself, a reflection of himself, not himself. And what is the reflection? It's a projection. And what is a projection? In reality, it's how I want to be, how I want you to see me. This is what I love. If I can make you see me how I want you to see me, so then you project that to me, and I like myself. Oh yeah, he loves me. So it's narcissist doesn't love himself. He loves only an image of himself. And that is basically, if I love an image of myself, this is resistance to my true self. That is hate. If I don't love you, but I love only the way I want you to be, if I'm like your father and I love you, or your mother and I love you only the way I want you to be, do I love you? I hate you in a way. I give you resistance to who you are. It's the same like hating you. From the experience, we all know that, how people expect us to be the way they want us to be. Does it feel good? Does it feel loving? No, it feels like I don't want to be that person. It feels we are like put in a prison. It's not love. You agree, or if you? So love the narcissist. How do you love it? You have to admit it first. You have to admit that it is in you, and you have to see it clearly. That's the first step. You cannot overjump it. It's gonna say, oh, I love my narcissist, but you don't really feel it, you don't really see it. That's not honest. That's something a narcissist would do. Just overjumping it. You have to first admit to yourself that it is in you. And if you don't, you will always be afraid to talk in front of people, by the way. Because you will always feel that people maybe will be aware of something that you don't want to show them. Because that's one of the things. Because that's what the negative narcissist is afraid. And the positive is, I'm not afraid at all. But I'm not talking to positive narcissists here. Most of people who self-reflect, they are mostly trapped in the negative one, like myself I was. Always hating myself, but thinking, I want to change the world, I want to make the world a better place, and thinking always, how can I help other people, and how can I sacrifice my life for others, and all these things. And thinking of myself of being a rescuer and hero and this. I don't know if you ever went through that, but this is how I was when I was younger. Yeah, it was a big wake-up call when I realized that it was an ego. It was narcissistic. Spiritual ego. I hope I didn't talk too much to you. If I did, that's how it is. All right, let's sit. Do the mantra, the sutra. I have the shooty box today. Nice.
Doch ein zweites haben. Wir können auch wieder einen haben. So eins da, oder?
Ja, ja, natürlich. You can take out one more. I brought today my bigger shruti. Straight back. The lower back is a little bit relaxed, not too straight. The shoulders are a little bit back. The chin. And you imagine that the rope is from your highest point of your head, pulling you up. The hands are together in an oval. Not too much up, not too much low. If it's up, it's a sign of thinking. If it's low, it is a sign of sleeping. So balance.